I think it is very important that we be honest about why Palantir is so dangerous and why you see all of those so-called MAGA influencers led by Laura Loomer, Jack Posobiec, Miles Ian DeJong, all these guys. Why are they constantly singing the praises of Palantir? Because like any of the corporate liberal establishment, bloodsuckers, if you will, that are just looking for a payday and will espouse any message that the corporate party line is going to throw at them. That is the reason why we are stuck in this sort of 1984-like existence where everything that we do is under constant surveillance, because they want to make sure that their corporate entity, if you haven't seen the last Mission Impossible movie, I advise you all to go see it. A lot of great political messaging in that movie, I must say. But if there is somebody who I think commented on this perfectly, it's Tim Dillon, another comedian turned incredibly effective social commentator.
You have not one reservation about what's going on over there. I'm not saying you have to feel one way or another way, but if you don't have any if you have no reservations about what's happening with all these kids getting killed, I don't know, I can't trust you. If you don't have any reservations about Palantir taking everyone's information, I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you. I think they're buying people left and right. This is my guess.
It's not a guess.
They try to buy me. My pussy costs a lot of money. I get invited to these dinners. I don't go. I've been invited to Teal's house multiple times for dinner. I don't go. It's no shade at them.
Well, just so people know, I'm not putting anything out there other than the truth. Tim Dillon is gay. Peter Thiel is gay. I'm just saying.
Or whatever, The reason I don't go is I remember one dinner, they're like, we'd like to discuss the media. I go, what? No, thanks. We'd like to discuss dinner. We discuss the media and culture. No thanks. Appreciate it. That's fine. Don't need a. Here's what I'm doing every week. I'm discussing the media. Hey, good news. I have a show. You can listen to it. You can listen to it if you're curious about it. But I've been to some of these places. I've sat in these houses in Austin with these tech people. And I know what they want. And I know what they want me to go out and cheerlead for and say, well, it's actually a great idea. And there's probably a lot of money in it. There's probably a lot of money. And I just can't do it.
And that's really what it comes down to, isn't it, guys? Yeah. There's a lot of money to be made to be a sellout. Yeah. And to sell out your fellow man, woman, and child in this country. And there's a lot of people who will do it. But to Tim Dillon's credit, he's saying, no amount of money is going to get me to praise Palantir and praise what they are helping facilitate in Gaza. I respect him.
I respect him for that, man. That takes some courage. These are some powerful people. You like to come out, and he didn't have to say that. I don't know what he would gain by saying that. So I really respect that. I don't like the visual, Peter. If you could just the visual, like, oh, they're both gay. I don't know what Peter was up to. I don't know. I don't want to get into all that. But as far as it comes to Palantir,
I was only bringing that up because Tim Dillon was pointing out that Peter Thiel is constantly inviting him over his house for dinner.
It's relevant. Saying. It's relevant, but not a good thought. But I view Palantir for a lot of people don't understand what Palantir is. It's just basically like a Google search for whoever wants to pay for it. But this is really the deep state. I mean, it's really like a Google search for the administrative state, deep state. Basically can search on damn near any record that they get from you. And the problem here is that it's a private company. So it's and I know they have offspring like products like Foundry and all that, but it's Palantir. So how does a private company get involved? So they have my data, but I can't search on what data they have. This is just fundamentally problematic. And Donald Trump ran a lot of people don't know this. The first agenda of Agenda 47 was a digital bill of rights where you as the consumer would have rights over basically your data. And he gets into power, hands it over to Doge. Doge gives it to Palantir. Insane.
Which also has to make you wonder, guys, why is it that in the course of 48 hours, Elon Musk goes from saying that Trump is in the Epstein files to, I'm so sorry, I misspoke. I should never have said such a thing. I apologize, President Trump. I mean,
yeah, crazy.
To me, that's just Musk telling on himself because, again, one nation under blackmail. All these guys. There's something out there on probably just about every one of them, and they don't want anyone to know about it. I think I expect the worst.
The blackmail and extortion is to a degree that we can't even comprehend. This Palantir thing, which I've only looked at the very surface level, is, from my understanding, just makes the Patriot Act look like dinosaur technology in terms of what its objective and end result is. The reason why a lot of people put their trust, a lot of specifically, libertarians and really disappointed Bernie supporters, like the likes of Joe Rogan, the likes of Tulsi Gabbard, right? The likes of RFK, the likes of me, who were considered like traditional libertarian-leaning. It's kind of strange. It's like libertarian progressives. I don't know. There's a term that's very difficult to, but that's
it would be classified as libertarian left. You can say that.
Right. Okay. So, they ended up going with Trump on the premise that they believed that Trump was going to be the anti-war, the pro-freedom, liberty of the individual. And once he came into office, I think that what allowed the 180 to happen is because of how deeply embedded our political leadership is with Israel. I think it goes back to that. Whether it's Iran, whether it's Palantir, whether it's the Epstein files, there's always something that somehow involves directly or indirectly or implicates Israel. And the ordinary Joe like myself can't point my finger at it, but we're not stupid. It's like we see what we're seeing and we're feeling what we're feeling.
Yes.
And so we rely on people like Tim Dillon to help us laugh through the pain, because at this point, there's not much else you can do.
Yeah. The other thing that we've also noticed about the growth of our channel is that we have a very substantial international flavor. A lot of people from the UK, people from Australia, people from Germany. We even have some people from Israel, believe it or not. Now, of course, most of them who come here to, give a shit. But that's okay. Their days are numbered anyway. So, hi. Yeah. But credit to the fearlessness of Tim Dillon, because he's part of that group. He's part of that very influential group of comedians led by Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn that have very cordial relationship with Donald Trump.
Also a former Bernie supporter.
Yes. Yeah. No, Dillon's the real deal. He's really carved an amazing niche. And I don't just say this to say it, but he is funny as hell. He really is.
It's not because I'm some great moral I wouldn't be good at it. I'd be terrible at coming on here going, well, the good thing about the list. Well, no, if you actually think about the list this way, all my people that listen every week go, what the fuck happened to him? What the fuck happened to him? So my prediction, and I don't want to name names because I don't know, but my prediction is you're going to see a lot of people over the next 6 months start thinking this list's a great idea. They're going to start telling you how great this is and how it's about terrorism. That's that'll start going, well, it's a terror. Have you heard? Is terrorism going to... This is going to happen.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right. And I think it is important now to pull up a clip. Now, Osiris, you have obviously spoken very favorably, much to my disagreement in many cases, about Nick Fuentes. but I have noticed a lot of what he's been saying lately. Now, granted, a lot of it may be coming from a nationalistic lens, and that's, I mean, it is what it is. But he has been, and not even doing it the way I felt that Dan Bilzerian's been doing. Dan Bilzerian is an open anti-Semite. Like he's pretty adamant about the fact that he just doesn't like Jews. Okay, fine, whatever. Which is why I wouldn't break bread with him. But the way Nick Fuentes has been doing it, he's just been doing it from the lens of, I'm America first. You could call me whatever you want, but Israel controls this country and it's unacceptable. And he has said the same regarding the connection with Palantir. And he did this with Alex Jones. And that's what made this even more impressive.
Really gives me a lot of concern. They put bombs in the pagers and they're involved in procurement for the U.S. military. You know, Palantir, all these new generation defense contractors, they're all over Unit 8200. They're all over Ehud Barak over there in Israel. It's filled with shadowy corporations that are funneling their technology into our country. We're going to trust them in our
Well, I'll say this about Palantir. It's all really the hot thing to say it runs everything and it's so big. It's tiny compared to the other AI companies and defense stuff.
That's not true. And the fact that he even feels the need to say such a thing, I think also speaks to a greater indicator, which is Alex Jones, for those who may not know, lost a really incredible, huge lawsuit, which he did lose. And because of what he said regarding what happened at Sandy Hook, he is now on the hook for hundreds of millions of dollars, basically for the rest of his life. Now, who's to say that he doesn't form a relationship because of the reach that he has with his social media platform with somebody like Mr. Karp, who says, listen, if you go easy on us, if you even suggest that we're not even a big problem, we can make some of that money go away. And believe me, they can make it go away. If anybody has seen the movie Scarface, and everybody knows what happened to Tony Montana before things got really, really bad, he met with Sosa after he was indicted. And Sosa told him, we have connections all the way at the top of the U.S. government. You'll pay a big fine, but you're going to avoid jail time. That's the type of stuff that really goes on. And you have to wonder, Mr. Alex Jones, Mr. the day after 9/11, saying that Israel is responsible for the towers getting hit. Now he's saying this bullshit? How do you not put two and two together? How do you not recognize that he is one nation under blackmail? That this is a man who wants out from the hell that he has found himself in. And somebody like Peter Thiel or Alex Karp has the power to take that and make it right for him. So just don't say anything bad about Palantir. Am I wrong?
You're absolutely right.
You're taking us into deep waters, my friend.
We have to.
I care.
We have to. Alex Jones is half the man he used to be, figuratively and literally. I give him credit for bringing on Nick Fuentes, much credit for that. But you could see the change in the whole room when he kind of tried to hid the Palantir conversation. I couldn't believe when I saw this. Alex Jones hiding the Palantir conversation. He's scared to do it. I don't know if he has deals or what's going on, but obviously something's not right there because he's not questioning it. He's not challenging anything Nick said. He's trying to soften what Nick said. Why? Why would Alex Jones be doing that? That's very concerning.
Heck, we even have paid propagandists for Palantir showing up in our chat now. Man, our channel's really growing. I got to say.
Wait, what did it say?
What's the issue with Palantir? It's an American company.
No, that's a fair question, though. What's the issue with Palantir? Well, we talked about that a little bit, that it's a private company.
So if our registered attorney was here right now, she would tell you that your constitutional rights, they don't exist anymore. The Constitution, you want to light that on fire? Even if you did it now, it really wouldn't make any difference because all of what we have held sacred and dear has been gone, which is why anyone who voted in favor of the Patriot Act, which had been sitting on the sidelines for years prior to 9/11, which is why everyone is convinced now that 9/11 was an inside job. Because as soon as 9/11 happens and they pass the Patriot Act, as Jen said time and again, you have now kissed away 4, 5, and 6 from the Constitution. Goodbye. And you're never going to have them again. And now, as it relates to our right to free speech, that's gone too. We don't have that. I'm not saying we need the Third Amendment, although I don't know if we're ever going to have war on stateside. but if we did, we'd have to quarter some people. Point being, this is a nightmare scenario that we are now seeing as the unraveling of our constitutional republic. There is no question that it is on its last legs in so many ways. When somebody like Alex Jones, it's not even a question of him saying that Palantir is bad, but maybe not as bad. He's basically saying they're not bad. They're not that big of a problem. Only somebody who is compromised, in my opinion, is going to defend Palantir, knowing what they're up to and knowing the level of involvement that they are in with the genocide in Gaza. So the fact that he is saying this, knowing that he has spoken at length before about how bad Israel is, the only thing that comes to mind is that he's compromised.
Yeah, and that question could be an honest question to explain that. I'm not sure, but here's the triggering event where I really crashed out and called people from MAGA maggots and completely called them deplorables was the Kilmar Garcia. I asked people I respected, like Jack Posevec and others, wait a second, how do you scoop somebody off the street and put them in an El Salvadorian prison with no check to see if they're here legally or not? Then I asked people, was he here legally? You can kind of parse these words. Was he allowed to be here? That's a fact. He was allowed to be here. So how do you scoop somebody off the street? It's all through Palantir. They're using this immigration OS software that allegedly, we don't know for sure, but we know they have the software, but we don't know for sure because it's all private. If they use that to scoop up Kilmar, they're using AI. So they have these filters on it, and they got it from the MS-13 and all this stuff, even though it wasn't, for certain with him. And they said, oh, this guy shouldn't be here, when actually it was a mistake. Trump admitted it was a mistake. So I go to MAGA and Trump and these people's supporters, and I say, well, what's going on here? Obviously it was a mistake. Why are you supporting this? And they don't say anything. Oh, he's a gangster. And then they start smearing him. Then they start saying, well, he did this to his girlfriend or whatever and all this other stuff. I'm like, that's not what I'm asking about. So that's the problem. If they can scoop Kilmar Garcia off the street illegally, unconstitutionally, they can scoop anybody. They could knock on the door right now and take me to El Salvador.
I think there's a lot of beta testing going on and seeing what it is that they can get away with. And then there's also just a lot of orchestrated chaos that just happens over and over again. I'm so suspicious of the divine timing of June 14th, being this nationwide protest against kings. And we already know that with Trump, promoting that, he supports incarcerating people for burning the flag, that's what they're going to want to do on June 14th, on his birthday, on American Flag Day, all across the country. It's like you're giving them a reason to convince the American people that we have so many terrorists and bad people in our midst. And so we need something like Palantir to track them down and to get them. It always seems like it's perfect timing to justify stripping our civil liberties away, one thing at a time, one pandemic at a time, one terror attack at a time. I mean, it's just, there's always something that's there that justifies the government overreach every time, from the left or from the right, every time.
We'll continue.
He is trying to make a run at getting a bunch of big contracts. And so I'm not defending what it does. My point is, compared to all these other big companies, it's tiny. And that's why you see the left attacking it a bunch too. So I see a weird alliance with kind of the anti-Israel folks and the left with the Muslims and like Palantir. It's the big thing. I mean, its contracts are tiny compared to the other stuff.
But what Palantir is a privatization of the surveillance state. They work for the CIA. They come from the CIA.
What I've seen is Palantir has been trying to reform the government contracting process.
They're trying to make it more competitive and more efficient, but what they're doing is they're funneling all of our data into the government. Clearview AI is part of that suite. They ripped everybody's faces off of Facebook. Palantir's involved in Gaza doing facial recognition so they know which Palestinians to blow up with drones. And J.D. Vance is the protege of Peter Thiel, who's the co-founder of Palantir. That's like George Bush all over again. That's like George Bush, head of the CIA, being Reagan's vice president.
So you don't like Vance? I think Vance is awesome.
Oh, I think he's terrible. I don't. First of all, I think he's fake.
What is going on with Alex Jones? This is wild.
How many things could he rattle off, like right there at the end, just basically saying, yeah, I'm compromised.
Yeah, he's done. I mean, he's just a joke, man. I'm for JD Vance. JD Vance is a clown. He's never liked Trump. He's not a Trumper. He's more of a George Bush type era, neoconish type of dude who's rebranded himself. I mean, and Peter Thiel calls himself a libertarian, believe it or not. How crazy is that? There's libertarians that support him.
Yeah, and that's also because people don't understand the definition of libertarianism, what it really means. I think people just like to call themselves whatever the fuck they want. The closest thing to a true libertarian, in my opinion, is Thomas Massey. He really does embody what small, limited government is all about. And it's not about screwing the average person. It's about ensuring that we have enough to support our nation without creating this bloat, which people just have taken full advantage of.